Hi guys, my name is Elsie.
My name is JT.
Welcome to a brand new episode. It's called F1 Decoded. Now this is a new series that we're going to be running on the F1 debate show. This is where we compare drivers in terms of statistics and their Formula 1 careers compared to other drivers of maybe different generations and on the grid that's rivals to them. So in this episode we're going to be talking about Ayrton Senna v Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to be discussing Ayrton Senna and JT is going to be discussing Lewis Hamilton. Now these drivers are very much together. Obviously they're both three-time world champions, and also from Lewis's perspective he always compares his career to Ayrton Senna's, obviously since he was young when he was driving for McLaren, and now that he drove for Mercedes, and obviously once he won his world championship in 15, that was him. He fulfilled his goal to be like Ayrton Senna. But obviously there's more to Senna than just the 3 world championships. So firstly in this video I'm going to be discussing Ayrton Senna's stats. Okay, so he obviously is the 3-time world champion in 1988, 1990 and 1991. In his 10-year career, started in 1984, his first entry was the 1984 Brazilian Grand Prix. His first race in Formula 1 was his home race in Formula 1, which is obviously unbelievable for him. He drove for Toleman 1984, McLaren from 88 to 93, and his final team in Williams was in 1994 with Williams. In his time, he had 41 wins, 80 podiums, 610 career points, 65 pole positions, 19 fastest laps, and 181 race starts within that 10-year period. His first win in Formula 1 was the 1985 Portuguese Grand Prix at Estoril, where he beat the pack by over half a minute. His last win was the 1993 Australian Grand Prix, and his last entry was the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, which was unfortunately his fatal injury in Formula 1. So that was Ayrton Senna's stats. How do they compare to Lewis Hamilton? I'll pass over to JT to discuss the current British 3-time world champion.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. Yeah, obviously Lewis Hamilton's stats and points and all that are going to be larger than Ayrton Senna's, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Hamilton is the better driver, because obviously if you've got more races, you've got more bigger points than that. So if you cross up Lewis Hamilton, this in 2016, this is his 10th Formula 1 season. Obviously similar to Senna's. He's had 43 wins, 89 podiums. Total point is as time of recording is 1,906. Very, very impressive. He's been with 2 teams so far, McLaren and Mercedes. Obviously, his first entry in Formula 1 was at the 2007 Australian Grand Prix, which he finished on the podium, which was a massive achievement in itself. He holds the record for the most consecutive podium finishes from debut, which is 9, from the 2007 Australian Grand Prix, his first win, to the 2007 British Grand Prix, which is the one he won a year later. He also has the most pole positions in a debut season, which is 6, which is really impressive, which also moves on to his total pole positions, which is 51. Now, Senna has 65, so Lewis Hamilton, obviously, modern pole position king. I think it'll be very, very close to Ayrton Senna's record. I probably think he'll beat it, if not this season, definitely next. Obviously, as like I said, both of them were very good at one-shot pole position laps. Speaking of fast laps, Lewis Hamilton has 28 of them, which obviously doesn't really surprise me considering the pace he's had throughout the past couple of years at Mercedes. Grand Prix entries currently stands at 170. At time of record, which is before the Russian Grand Prix, 2016 Russian Grand Prix, and obviously exactly the same as Ayrton Senna, 3 world championships. Now, obviously, when Hamilton was growing up, he was a massive Ayrton Senna fan, which replicated his helmet from about, I think it was about 2007 to about 2012, at the start of the 2013 season, where obviously he had a yellow helmet, symbolised what Ayrton Senna had, matched his goal as a 3-time world champion. Obviously his idol, obviously very, very emotional and very, very proud, Lewis Hamilton, to match his hero. And obviously there's every single chance he could go on and beat his rival. But obviously people will always debate that Lewis Hamilton is no Ayrton Senna. We're not saying he's an Ayrton Senna. We're just saying that if you look at it as like when Ayrton Senna was dominating pole positions in races like that, what's similar to what Hamilton is doing. You could compare them that they are similar in that sort of way, but obviously everyone will probably 90% of people watching this will probably say Ayrton Senna is the better driver to Lewis Hamilton. Definitely.
Yeah. Obviously, the fantastic stats. He has loads in Formula 1. And one of the bigger things is Lewis Hamilton Ayrton Senna came into Formula 1 when he was 30 years old, very late. Very, very, very late compared to now, because some of the drivers who were nearing the end, like JB, they've just obviously, they're mid-30s. What's Jensen? What, like 36, something like that, 35.
I think he is, yeah, about 36 around.
So it's obviously very late for that. And Lewis was he 21? If I'm right,
20. I think it was 21 when he first started. Might have been 22 actually. I think it was 22. Because he won his World Championship. I think it was about 20. It was 22. Because his birthday's on the 7th of January.
Yeah.
So obviously at the start of the year, before pre-season. So yeah, he would have been 22 years old when he first started.
Make a note of his birthday, guys. You can send him a card. So as I say, he's been in Formula 1 for so long, had so much, obviously more than Ayrton Senna in terms of career points, and unbelievable then, but obviously they didn't give him out as much for wins. Now I've got obviously some of the records for Ayrton, which was unbelievable. Now it took him, when we mentioned about Lewis winning his British Grand Prix, it took Ayrton Senna, it was 1991, so that is 7 years. It took him 7 years to win, and that was in the McLaren Honda MP46. By the way, that if anyone doesn't know, that was the 3.5 litre V12 engines, just an unbelievably power. That's more than double, is it, of what we have today? And obviously V12 is no V6.
I think V6 is now produces about, I don't know how much horsepower, but back in the day they put about over 1,200 horsepower.
Oh, absolutely unbelievable.
I think F1 cars now are probably half of that.
Now, obviously, my favourite car in Formula 1, Ayrton Senna is most successful. Obviously, with his 8 wins in a row in 1988 was the MP4.
Probably one's more successful car.
Oh yes,
15 out of 16 races, only lost one.
Absolutely unbelievable. So that was an unbelievable car. That was the 1.5 litre V6 turbo. So it's similar, more powerful. This engine's more powerful than those days, but obviously, as I say, it was just more of a standout in that lovely car. So as I say, 8 wins in 1988 for Ayrton Senna. And then he won the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously, again, if you've seen the footage of that, it's unbelievable. No power steering, big, massive steering wheel, full steering wheel, in a manual gearbox. Like a change with your hand, not for your paddle. That was in 1987. That was with the Lotus Honda car. 99T was the name. That was a 1.5 V6 turbo engine again. So these are some of Ayrton Senna's facts. Let's just read them out. So his most wins leading throughout the Grand Prix was 19. That was between 1985 and 1991, so a big chunk of his career. Most consecutive pole positions was 8, and that was between the 1988 Spanish Grand Prix and the 1989 US Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher matches that record. I'm not sure when it was in the year, but it was at the Japanese Grand Prix that he matched Ayrton Senna's record. So obviously fantastic, to do. Maybe that's also something else that Lewis Hamilton could, go on to beat. Yep. Most consecutive front row starts was 24. That was between the 1988 German Grand Prix and the 1988 Australian Grand Prix. That was matched by Alain Prost, his teammate at McLaren in 1993. Not at that point, but teammate at McLaren. And then his teammate in 1994 with Damon Hill at Williams. He matched that in 1996. Again, his championship winning year. So unbelievable stat by him. Most consecutive wins at the same Grand Prix was 5 at the Monaco Grand Prix in 1989 to 1993. Michael Schumacher's already beaten that record with his French Grand Prix of 6. I'm not sure of the years with Michael, but obviously he's gone into it now. But again, 6 of Monaco. Now Monaco's, it's no French Grand Prix. It's better. It's a tighter circuit, tighter than these days. Oh, absolutely amazing, especially driving most of the lap one-handed. Most pole positions at the same Grand Prix was at 8 at the San Marino Grand Prix, and that was between 1985, 1991 and 1994, his last season in Formula 1. Most consecutive pole positions at the same Grand Prix was at the San Marino Grand Prix, 1985 to 1991. And he has a 100% record of the highest percent starts, front row starts, in 1989, which is unbelievable. Ayrton Senna was he was a god on the track. Now, and you can only use your imagination to think what would he be like in a Formula 1 car nowadays, and also what would Lewis Hamilton be in a car those days. I mean, he has driven Ayrton Senna, many of Ayrton Senna's cars on little segments around Silverstone and all that, but obviously he's not racing. He's never raced against anyone like that. Now that would be amazing to think. And also as well, if he got the same amount of points and he had the same amount of number of races, what would it be like in these times? Obviously 21 races this year, and they had say like 15, 16 races in those days. So in 1994, when he unfortunately died in the Formula 1 car, it was set up the Institutional Ayrton Senna, the Ayrton Senna Foundation, which was set up by Vivian Senna, if I'm pronouncing that right, or if it has another pronunciation in Brazilian, in November of 1994. Now that was also aided by Alain Prost. It was maintained and funded by him. Obviously, as I say, if you watch the Senna documentaries, it says at the end that it was set up by a trustee by Alain Prost, and obviously that was something that he really wanted to do to support Ayrton Senna, and that helps people in Brazil, kids in Brazil, for education and for a better standard of living, because obviously that's what he lived for Formula One, but he also lived to do that because he was a very religious person on the track, a public icon. And that's what his ultimate goal was to do in Brazil. So an unbelievable driver. We're going to keep discussing him. He has some amazing records in Formula One. Now I'm going to pass over to JT, who's going to talk about Lewis Hamilton. Now, obviously, a modern day driver, a lot more has changed. You get a lot more points and stuff like that. And is he, at the end of the day, is he an Ayrton Senna? Is he Ayrton Senna? 21/22 years onwards. Let's pass over to JT.
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you, Will. So, yeah, I mean, you could compare Lewis Hamilton as a modern day Senna. I mean, you could, compare Sebastian Vettel to a modern day Alain Prost, because he's won 4, world championships, and obviously Vettel's like a legend now. Same with Lewis Hamilton. I mean, obviously the stats currently, if in Formula One, modern Formula One is obviously unbelievable. Whether he'll do the same if he was around back in the 1980s, I mean, probably. I mean, would Ayrton Senna, if he was a driver now? I mean, got to say, move Ayrton Senna from 1990s or 1980s to modern day Formula One. Would he do good? I'd probably say he would. I think he'd be quick at learning the car, learning how the car is, all the adjustments and all that, how the tyres work, how this works, fuel saving and all this. Ayrton Senna was clever at modern making the car faster, tweaking here and there, as what Mick Hackman said in one documentary. He was very good at detail and stuff, and I believe that Senna would have been really down to obviously a lot more to think about, but definitely a lot more of how to get the maximum out of this, maximum pole position, maximum out of race, stuff like that. But so yeah, if you compare a bit of stats with Lewis Hamilton, if from 2007 up to his current season, obviously last season, his last full season, 2015. Only one time has he ever been outscored by his teammate, which is Jenson Button in 2011, which is a bit of a shocking season for Lewis Hamilton. I think he finished 5th that season, which was absolutely poor compared to Lewis Hamilton's standards. No wonder he moved from McLaren to Mercedes. In 2007, he had the most points from a debut season, which is what I already mentioned, about 109, which was unbelievable. 1 point away from the title. 2008, he got 98 points. His teammate Ayrton got 53 points. And obviously that's when Lewis Hamilton won his first World Championship. 2009, 49 points compared to Ayrton 22. Then you move it to 2010, where the points scoring changed. Maximum at 2009 was 10. Now it's 25. So now you have a much larger margin compared to last season. But you have Lewis Hamilton on 240, and his new teammate Jenson Button on 214. So then again, Lewis Hamilton knows how to dominate his teammate. But you move it to 2015, where Sebastian Vettel dominated. Jenson Button I would probably say that was one of his best seasons at McLaren. He finished second in the World Championships, and he was the only driver really who could catch Sebastian Vettel. And that was where Lewis Hamilton sort of fell off the pace a little bit. It came under a little bit of pressure, because about this time it's been, it has been a long wait since his last World Championship. I mean, compare that to Senna. When Senna debuted in 1984, everybody knew that he was going to become a world champion because his performance in Monaco was phenomenal. Then he came into Lotus in '86, and obviously winning the Portuguese Grand Prix was just unbelievable. And then obviously finally getting that fast, brilliant car in 2008. Senna worked up the ranks, which is what he wanted to do, to get to the best team. Hamilton was already at the best team, so he wanted his car to improve. But after 2 seasons, it never really improved. So then everyone was saying, is Hamilton really this good of a driver? If his doesn't have the best car, is he not Lewis Hamilton? Unlike Ayrton Senna, who had the Tolman, for example, as I just said, in Monaco, he drove that to a second place. He very nearly caught Alain Prost in the wet. I mean, he was a master in the wet, similar to Lewis Hamilton. You would compare Lewis Hamilton to if it was raining, Hamilton would probably be the driver to beat. So you move on to 2012, which was, I would say, Lewis Hamilton's best ever chance of winning another championship at McLaren. 190 points for him, 188 for Jenson Button, and obviously reliability problems and all that allowed Sebastian Vettel to hit his at the time his 3rd World Championship. And obviously Lewis Hamilton's decision to go, right, I'm changing things, I'm leaving McLaren, which is a very, very good choice because McLaren had a poor season in 2013, and Mercedes were pretty much where McLaren were, or where they should have been rather. So in 2013, a brand new teammate, Nico Rosberg, who we knew from karting, he got 189 points. Nico Rosberg got 171 points. So his first season at Mercedes, boom, straight away. I'm not messing about. I don't care how long you've been in Formula One. I'm the main man at Mercedes. Now, showed his stature there. 2014 is second World Championship. Finally a relief for Lewis Hamilton. He's got his second World Championship. His second season in Mercedes. Absolutely brilliant. 384 points compared to Nico Rosberg 370. Now, go back into 2015, last season. Dominated again, obviously, as we all know. Lewis Hamilton 381, Nico Rosberg 322. And so, yeah, obviously, the start of this season is looking very, very likely that Rosberg could beat Lewis Hamilton this season, not only to the title, but obviously as teammates as well. So obviously, you move on to a little bit more about Lewis Hamilton. Most wins in his debut season were 4, which is currently shared with Jacques Villeneuve, who was in 1996, and most consecutive races with at least 1 lap in the lead. 18 races from the 2014 Hungarian Grand Prix to the 2015 British Grand Prix. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about Lewis Hamilton. Apart from that, currently at this dominating time, he couldn't make his mind up whether he wanted to be with Nicole or be without Nicole. That's all I'm going to say. Elsie?
Yeah, cheers, JT. Now, what we're going to discuss, obviously, we're going to discuss a few more things. Now, Lewis Hamilton, obviously, as JT started, he was at McLaren, one of the best teams on the grid at that time. Obviously coming from 2006, a very strong drive from them. Obviously, again, Renault and Ferrari were stronger than them at that time. Now, Lewis Hamilton's always kind of had things his way. Now, obviously, he was at McLaren, getting a lot of the resources that he needs. Obviously, he's now went to Mercedes. He's now at Mercedes, and he's getting a lot of that now. Lewis has been given. He's had a lot of opportunity. When Ayrton Senna has, obviously, when he started, he was at Toleman in 1984. As JT said, obviously, it was a lower team. It was probably like the modern day, Sauber, Force India, something like that. Very low. Well, again, people expected it to be obviously that. His first Grand Prix, his first few Grand Prix were, showing promising, but obviously, as I say, the 1984 Monaco Grand Prix, which is actually the first race that's covered in the documentary because it's a real standout race. It was something like the third or fourth Grand Prix, in the 1984 season. Now, it was a standout race. Now, he passed obviously loads of these people. Again, he was either passing them on track or they were spinning out because they couldn't control themselves in the wet. He challenged Alain Prost for the win. And obviously, Ayrton Senna's very famous for saying that Formula One had turned into a sport that was bothered about money. It had politics involved, and it was ridiculous because it was. Obviously in the early 70s, it was just about racing. In the late 70s, it was just about racing. These politics all were creeping in a bit. And at the very early 80s, they were getting established. Obviously, when you saw the likes of Niki Lauda and Alain Prost at McLaren in 1984. That was when politics were very much there. As you know, obviously, half a point separated Alain from Niki. And if it was maybe in the early 70s, in terms of the no politics and just letting them race, it would probably have maybe even gone to Alain Prost, or it would have been an incredible fight to watch. So things obviously never turned out Senna's way moving through that. Now, obviously, I think everyone knows in 1989 at the Japanese Grand Prix, Senna and Prost collided. At this time, the FIA president was a Frenchman who was very close to Prost. He even knew his family and lived close to him in France, and they were buddies, very much close. So he disqualified Ayrton Senna, charged him €100,000, but by the way, in this time is like something like €5 million, and gave him a 6-month ban. Now, very, very, very hard. He was, and also as well when he was at McLaren, he was outshone. He was probably treated as a second-class driver to Alain Prost, his teammate. Now, Lewis Hamilton obviously has had a lot of things gone his way. Obviously, he got into Mercedes when Vettel left. Very convenient, obviously. It was at McLaren. It was very convenient that he was getting all these things. Obviously, that he drove to them. He definitely deserves it, Lewis Hamilton. Now, the next thing we're going to move on to, and you've probably already thought of this before you watched this video, Senna v Hamilton. They have teammates. They had the two most savage teammates who have been down their throats since they came into Formula One. With Ayrton Senna, it was Alain Prost, and with Lewis Hamilton, it is Nico Rosberg. Now, I'm going to start with Alain. Now, obviously, Alain Prost, 4-time world champion, very experienced compared to Nico, who hasn't got a world championship. But their rivalry was documented throughout the years, was unbelievable. Pushed Prost to his other, to do better in Formula 1, probably to win more. And also Senna as well. Obviously, they pushed each other. I'd say Senna, even probably his first 2 world championships were probably because Prost was at his throat so much, pushing each other, basically beyond the breaking point. And Prost then obviously left to go to Ferrari because Senna was probably getting on his nut, driving him insane at Ferrari. McLaren obviously forced him to go to Ferrari, and obviously then Lewis Hamilton battling with Nico Rosberg. So do you think, like obviously Prost did to Senna, because Prost then helped Senna's career? People look at the negatives in terms of a rivalry, but a rivalry can be good in that sense that Prost helped Senna, to get his 2 or even his 3 world championships. I'd say obviously again the 2, 1988 and 1990, when he was at McLaren. But yeah, so obviously the rivalry between Hamilton and Rosberg. Do you think then that helped Hamilton get his titles in 14 and 15, and then also future?
I mean, obviously you definitely need a teammate to keep you on your toes at all times, especially if that teammate is going for the drivers' championship itself. Because Hamilton's like, right, I'm determined to win another championship. I need to win. Pretty much, Lewis Hamilton, one-time world champion at this point when he joined Mercedes in 2014. They had a car that could win the world championship, and obviously, as we all know, it did. So obviously, but at the time, Rosberg, who had a season more experience, who joined 2006, he this was probably his best opportunity to go, right, I'm going to go for the title. I haven't won a world championship, So obviously going at like cat and mouse. I think Hamilton thrives on that. He thrives on pressure. He thrives on a rivalry. He likes a good teammate and give him a good chance. I mean, look at Jenson Button, for example. Never really gave him any competition, which sort of maybe could have been plagued as a bit of a bogey man, you could say it in a sort of way, like bogey team in football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
No, like literally a bogey man, if you know what I mean. But
yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, when Hamilton first joined, they were straight away. It was at Fernando Alonso. Obviously, Fernando Alonso at this point, a 2-time world champion. Hamilton comes in and he's proper at his throat almost immediately.
He wasn't expecting it.
And Hamilton beats him. So obviously, straight away, there's immediately Hamilton's like, I'm no pushover. And again, this is the same attitude with Harry Rosberg. I might be, you've had more Grand Prix experience than me, but I've got one more world championship than you. I've got more wins and pole positions and stuff like that. I'm the better driver than you. And now we've got a similar sort of car. I'm not going to let you push over me. Then obviously Rosberg backing him and stuff. So obviously Hamilton does need that team. He does thrive on it, and he does really, really enjoy this company. I believe that did push him on to win 2 more world championships, because obviously the support he had within the team, a bit like you could say Vettel and Webber. Obviously when Vettel was winning, all the team was towards him rather than Vettel. Than Webber. A bit like again Ferrari when Schumacher was winning. Barrichello was in the shadow. Rosberg's now like, I'm not in the shadow anymore. I'm going to beat this man. I know he can, and he is currently this season. So Hamilton is definitely under pressure, and he needs to sort it out, and he needs to sort it out quick. Unlike you compared to Senna and Alain Prost, which is racing was different back then. Obviously different era and different times and stuff, and obviously different strategy and all that. Obviously, I didn't know how it worked then, but obviously I don't know how big rivalries were back in the day. Obviously, I mean, if you look at what do they call them? James Hunt and Nicky Lauda. They were really good friends. When Nicky Lauda turned after when Rush came out, he said we weren't really that cat and mouse. We were friends we were rivals on the track, but friends off the track. Yeah. So it was like, was that the same case with Senna and Prost? You know what I mean? Obviously in the media it was like, Senna did this, Prost did that, Senna, you know what I mean? But maybe they were like, Senna, come around mine for a swivel of wine or something like that. You know what I mean? Or whatever they did back then. Yeah, but obviously when Hamilton came out and said, in Monaco in 2014, I think it was like, we're not friends. This is business. But was it really business? Hamilton was it really business? Was Rosberg really not bothered? Was it just a kind of show to say like, look, I'm going to be like Senna with Prost. I'm going to do this with Rosberg, and it's like, I don't know. If I'm honest with you, but definitely Hamilton is thriving on this rivalry, but it is definitely in Rosberg's court. This season, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're totally right. I think if Hamilton stayed with Jensen at McLaren, he probably wouldn't have pushed him so far, which is obviously what he needs. Obviously, Prost did his job, got Senna at 3 World Championships, and also as well, I think they were really good friends off camera. I just have a feeling that they were obviously in the film Rush, especially when it got into, I think it was the start of the 1989 season. That was obviously when they said, they didn't even talk to each other. Senna would just walk past Alain Prost, in the drivers' conference, they'd sit on either side. They wouldn't talk to each other whatsoever, and they'd have their own friends. They'd have their own drivers that they talk to. It wouldn't be those, and also it'd break up the team. Now, what? I think maybe if they were a benchmark for doing that, breaking up the team, because in Mercedes now, there'll be a side for Hamilton and there'll be a side for Rosberg. Now, I don't think many other teams will have that. Even Toro Rosso. I'm just saying those because they're probably the 2 drivers now that have got the clause out even more so for this season. No, I don't think any other team will have different sides of the garage in terms of the others one side won't talk to the other. But Hamilton and Rosberg, I think they're following the example from Senna and Alain Prost in terms of their rivalry, which is good. As I say, I started with this. I said, if you have a rival in Formula 1, that can be a good thing. If you have a teammate as well, that can be a good thing to push you as well.
Definitely.
So,
it definitely is a great thing. Obviously, great for us fans as well to see this big rivalry and stuff. It's great.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Now, right, that's the end of episode 1. I really hope you've enjoyed it. The next episode that's going to be uploaded, which is this time next week, so next Friday, will be Sebastian Vettel versus Michael Schumacher. Now, you might be thinking Michael 7, Vettel 4. That's not going to work, but very, very much so. Obviously, 2 Germans, both at Ferrari. Were at Ferrari, and obviously Vettel now is at Ferrari. They're very much more in common than you think. So that's going to be the next episode. We really hope you. Really hope you enjoy that when it comes out. We've got obviously. Please watch the episode F1 Debate Show episode 8 if you haven't already. That came out on Wednesday, so please go and check that out. Again, like and subscribe and do all the things that we like, which is great. And then please join us for episode 2 of F1 Decoded. We hope you've enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.
See you later. Take care.